am so thrilled. Folks are enjoying sessions so far. I've heard nothing but really positive feedback about the breakout sessions you attended this morning, about Dr. Irby's keynote this morning. And I think you're going to hopefully be just as excited and thrilled about what we're about to have here this afternoon. So it's actually my honor to introduce somebody who's going to introduce our keynote. Jane McDonald Black is the Executive Director of the JAB Foundation, which is a gold sponsor of our event. Thank you very much. And they have also very generously funded a very informative report that the Center for Applied Research and Educational Improvement, CARE, which, interestingly enough, those of you who know Kim Gibbons, her father thought that CARE was a colleague of hers for the first 6 months she was working there. Anyways, CARE, the Center for Applied Research and Educational Improvement, is just releasing this report today towards addressing and resolving disparities in reading outcomes. The CARE research team, led by Kim, examined the local literacy plans that were accessible for all Minnesota public schools. They specifically looked at what assessments, curriculum, and interventions they were using. They were actually able to access about 80% of districts' plans within the state. In that sample, 62% of the core reading programs that were adopted came from one of 5 curricula. You'll have to read the report to know which they are. None of which are aligned to the research base in the science of reading, something the next speaker will talk about in just a moment. But please join me right now in welcoming Jane Black McDonald, Executive Director of the JAB Foundation, to introduce our afternoon keynote.
Wow, it's just great to be in this room. I learned so much from this conference last year, and I'm learning even more this year. But what I really love about being here is seeing people who really care and seeing people that are using their creativity and their power to make real changes in this world. But I have to bring up something, because we've been talking about equity all morning. We have this focused on equity, and yet in Minnesota, 50% of our children cannot read. How do we create equity when our 8-year-olds aren't reading? I wake up every morning thinking about that, and I go to bed every night thinking about that. And I gotta say, you are the people that can make this change. We can teach children to read. I get a lot of experts. I talk to experts all the time. I'm not one of them. I just talk a lot. But I talk to a lot of experts, and they tell me that 75% of children should be able to be taught to read in their regular classroom, and that anywhere from 90 to 98% of children can learn to read. We're at 50%. If you believe that we can get higher, that we can get to 90 or 95%, I really want to know that. If you believe that, will you please stand up? Wow. Okay, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Thank you. So now I'm going to let you talk to somebody that really knows about this, that's really an expert, and that really is somebody that I admire deeply. Kareem Weaver. Kareem is co-founder and executive director of Fulcrum, which partners with stakeholders to improve reading results for students. He's Oakland's NAACP's second vice president and chair of the Education Committee. His advocacy is featured in the upcoming film, The Right to Read. How many of you seen The Right to Read? Yes. It's very powerful. Mr. Weaver previously worked as New Leaders Executive Director of the Western Region, working on literacy outcomes. He is an award-winning teacher and administrator. His undergraduate degree is from Morehouse College, and he has a master's in clinical community psychology from the University of South Carolina. Mr. Weaver believes in the potential of all students, the brotherhood of man, and the importance of service above self. His educational heroine for literacy instruction is the late Marva Collins. And so I am so proud to introduce Kareem Weaver.
Thank you, that was very nice. Very nice. You made everybody stand. They have a choice not to stand? All right. Hello, Minnesota. Sarah, I got my clicker. I'm good. Mic's working. We're straight. All right. So that was a heck of an intro. I appreciate it. And now, if when she asked that question, I'm not sure if you wanted not to stand, you could have withstood the peer pressure. It's kind of like a lot of things, clinical communities like that. I'm really glad to be here. I've enjoyed my time thus far. They gave me an hour, so I'm gonna use as much of it as I can. And I know this conference is about equity and other things, but I'm gonna focus on equity in relationship to reading and literacy overall. But it's good to be here. It's good to be here. All right. You may have seen this, maybe not. It's the write-up to what we're gonna talk about. I'll move around a little bit, but not too much. We'll work together. We're going to get into it. And it is my hope, my opportunity to challenge you a little bit. Just push your thinking so that we can collaboratively kind of move in a direction that's good for kids. Is that all right? It's not personal. Well, it is personal, but it's not personal. It's the work. First thing is, so I'm gonna say a lot of stuff and there's gonna be some, man, I did that bad, you leaving already? I just got started. Man, that's the quickest out. Oh, okay. So those are some things that you can, I'm not gonna stop, hey, go here. Maybe once or twice I will, but usually you can go back and refer to that stuff later. It's the same tiny URL, men lead 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9. So you can go there and some of those sources and references and you can go there. Okay, we good with that? All right, okay. You can write down the STEM and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, before we get started, 2 things I want to clarify. So this topic, this subject, leading with equity. I was just talking to Sister Isis in the back. Isis, where are you? Yeah, who works, a lot of folks are working in this area of equity. What does that mean? What are we talking about? The last speaker who was here, I don't see him right now, but he talked a lot about equity and what it means and the impact on kids. But so I may say some things that's probably not normally said. I hope that's all right. We'll get into it a little bit. Some things you might agree with, some things you might not agree with. Right? It's family business. We're going to push each other. But it's towards the goal of students learning. There is no pre-K-12 system improvement if it doesn't result in student learning, I would submit, first of all. So that's my frame. That's my thinking. But I want to start off with this idea of equity. You say tap? Ah. Okay. I got to get it. You know what? Let's just roll. Oh, man. Can you go back one, if you don't mind? Thank you. So I was sitting at my table, listening to the last speaker. I promise I was listening. And I saw excellence. Excellence is compelling. We got to talk about equity and excellence. That we have whole departments dedicated to equity. You probably won't hear too much from me about equity. It's okay. I get it. It's the coin of the realm, and it's important. And it's not the end all and be all. Ooh. Kareem, I'm here trying to be anti-racist, and they didn't told me that equity is the way to do it, and here you come unraveling the whole thing. Yeah, I know. Without excellence, your equity don't matter. You hear what I'm saying? If there is no gold standard, then what are we trying to be? Listen, I was on some podcast and I said, that's like me being in the back of the bus, you being 3 steps ahead of me, or 3 seats ahead of me on the bus, we all going over the cliff. But we sitting there talking about the equity gap. The bus is going over the cliff. We got to get the bus on course. And then we can talk about, how disproportionality and all, yeah, all that's important, yes, and we got to get the bus going in the right direction. You hear what I'm saying? Now, listen, I know there's some people that say this, oh my, Kareem, this is treason. I love you too. That's all right. That's all right. Thank you, Jesus. So I saw some excellence, and excellence always catches my eye. Always. I saw Marilyn and Maria communicating what the speakers were saying. They were using sign language, and man, they were getting down. I mean, they were getting down. First of all, somebody asked me, I think Katie asked me last night or the night before, can you send us your slides ahead of time so that folks can get ready? Because we have some folks who are signing and they need to familiarize themselves with it. Can you do that? I was like, yeah, okay, all right, I'll send what I have. I'll send the rest later. Like, okay, no problem. When I saw them going, and I saw the people they were communicating with intently focusing on the content, I was like, oh, it was invigorating and humbling. Excellence does that to you. I'm not sure equity does. There are some people, we can all come to the conference and talk a good equity game. And we can mean it. But there's something about excellence. It's like the old lady in church that sees one of them young people singing on the choir, and they're singing real good. Sing it, baby. Excellence. It does something to the spirit. If that's not part of the standard, then the whole thing is a con game. You hear me? Okay. So what drew me to them? What drew me to them? The transitions were smooth. One person would be signing, and they would just give a look, and they knew it's your turn now. Now, I'll let you learn that they had worked together before, but the preparation was so solid that they could communicate quickly because there's 2 different folks signing. They're like, okay, they did as much, and then passed it off. That's your planning. That's your preparation. That doesn't just happen because you have a partner. And they were watching each other closely. I'm not sure why. I'm watching because I want to see if we're aligned. I'm watching because I'm enjoying what you're doing, or it's because I'm a practitioner. This is my work, and I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Probably a little bit of all of that, but they were watching each other. And there was room for different styles. There were room for different styles. There was room. One person was more segmented and regimented. Where's sister at? No. Yeah, a little bit more regimented. Other person was more flowing. In fact, as she was doing it, she was kind of grooving while she was doing it. It was her. She was getting down, right? She was getting down, right? In the flow, in different styles. So somebody tell you, well, this curriculum is scripted. You mean to tell me if I give you something in a box, you're going to just do a cookie cutter version of that thing? You got to breathe life into that thing that only you can bring. You got to tell your teachers that. I'm expecting you to put your foot in it, as my grandmother used to say. Facial expressions, body movement was all different. The precision was there. Sometimes it was more thematic. Sometimes it was precise. Sometimes it was actually spelling out the word, but it was rapid, it was quick because they were prepared. And I also saw something else. There was one time where the speaker cracked a joke. I honestly don't know if she thought it was funny or not, but she kind of laughed and she kept going. It wasn't that she thought it was funny. She was trying to communicate humor of the speaker in that moment. Oh, it was a beautiful, excellence is compelling, it's gripping. If I can get this thing together. Okay. Now, here are my takeaways. I already said there's no cookie cut. So people talk about, there's standardized narratives and you want to, look, fine. You just don't understand excellence. Your grandmother and my grandmother can cook the same pie with the same recipe. Rodessa, get a hold of that thing, and may she rest in peace. But it's the chefs, they make it their own, however they do it. So when people start saying, well, you're trying to standardize, you don't understand good teaching. You can't standardize good teaching, but you got to get the ingredients right. You can't ask people to make bricks without straw. You got to have the materials. Experience matters. That's why we got to do something about this teacher turnover. I'm going to talk about that in a little bit because experience matters. The level of detail only comes with experience. You get down in the weeds, and I've been through this before. And then also, you know what? I might as well go through it. There was one time they sat down next to each other, and one person, I don't know if it was Maria, but somebody asked the other person, I'm stuck. Collaboration matters. Now, Kareem, why are you saying this? Because we got to deal with, I'm all about excellence, but their goal was not to be equal with the non-signing audience. They were searching for a standard of excellence. Whether you got it or not, it was them and the person they were communicated to, and they were going to get it. That's called having a standard. Sometimes we think about equity as, well, what's the gap between me and this person? Well, the white kids at 51%, we at 17%, there's a gap. There ain't no gap, we both going over the cliff. What's the gap in drowning? You drowning faster than me, we both drowning. Y'all can talk back to me, I'm telling like it, I'm just saying. I remember being a kid and we would go, my mom and dad, and we say, but so-and-so did. I don't care what so-and-so parents do. I don't care, don't come in here telling me what they did, right? Or the people in church, that's for me in my house, right? Like, you have to have a standard. I submit to you, and I hope you will take this back to your different districts and systems. And I understand equity is a coin of the realm. You got to be courageous. Fine. You got to talk that talk. You got to do it, fine. And if it's not tied to excellence, we're all in trouble. Okay, dramatize a little bit. You probably seen this before, right? Yeah. Somebody been to PD somewhere. Equality, the kids in over the fence, well, we don't want equality. But here's the reality. This is what I'm talking about. Sometimes we think about equity like this. Well, as long as we differentiate the supports, as long as we're giving one group more than the other group, this is equity. No, it's not. Listen, I'm getting on the plane to go back to California, so I know some of y'all might not like me. It's okay. Maybe that frees me up. Maybe that liberates me to say some things that God wants me to say. Nobody wins. That's not the goal. If 51% of black children were reading, that's still a crisis. A crisis. Because I believe in our children. Now, if you don't believe in our children, then we could talk about, well, they had 50 and I'm at 17. Well, we got to get up close to them now, man. What do you know about our kids, how brilliant they are? I put equity-ish. You know why I put that ish on the bottom? Anybody? It's not a rhetorical question. If you know, you can just raise your hand and shout. Anybody? If I'm the parent of the boy on the left, am I happy? Be honest. I know you're not supposed to say this. I know. They may think I'm whatever. I'm not happy. We gotta be honest with each other. My kid have moved. I fully support your right to self-determination, your access to full and complete reading. Yes, 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 yes. But if my kid's not part of the equation, then we have to make literacy like Social Security. Everybody gets it, so they can't get away with it. They can't throw it out. Because everybody's grandma gets it. I want my kid to go up too. What's the standard? Is the bare minimum the standard? You just want to look over the fence, or is it about excellence? That might mean y'all better go up some more boxes because my kid's going up too. Catch up if you can. Excellence. Now, I'm just being real. I understand that's not politically correct to say. I get it. Okay? But we all want children to thrive. And the reality is, if my children don't benefit from directly, I'm not saying they don't benefit from the community getting, then it's going to be, I'm going to feel some kind of way. As my cousin would say, I'm going to feel some kind of way about that. Yeah. I want my kid to thrive too. I'm paying my taxes. I want excellence for all. All right. You may know her. Why are you bringing this in, Weaver? Why are you talking about, we're supposed to be talking about literacy. If you take a look, I know this is kind of small, but basically she was in interviews, The Root magazine, this is in the mid-90s, and she said the elimination of illiteracy. You see it right there? Supporting our history as the elimination of slavery. So we're up here, so equity is the theme. If kids are illiterate and can't read, then it's just a shell game. This has to be part of it. Literacy, it's wholly appropriate that we talk about literacy in this context. We all right? Y'all all right? Hey, I mean, they asked me to come. All right, let's move it. Okay, y'all ever seen James Coleman before? The Coleman Report, some of you a little more seasoned like myself, you may have heard James Coleman. Basically, he came back to the federal government and said, listen, it's not really gonna make a big difference. It's kind of fixed. It makes a difference, but not as much as you think it does. Poverty, trauma, whatever, race, class, all the stuff, all the things, right? I often wonder, I appreciate him for being honest. At least he said what he thinks. Some people say, they don't say it, they just keep moving. Okay, so I won't stay with this one too long. So here's the latest NAEP scores. Oh, by the way, before I do that, how many of you all are in system leadership, district system leadership? In some capacity, you be coach, she's like, so you could be a coach, a superintendent, a school board member, something. No? How many in the school building? How many of you in the school building? Okay. What else do we have? Legislators? Any legislators here? Community groups? One. But where the rest of y'all from then? That's like half, right? Mm-hmm. They check their badges. Might have snuck in on the under. All right. Well, look. Here we go again. So this is point A, example of what I'm talking about. So notice the blue. Now this is NAEP, the report card type thing. Notice the blue. It's a trip how they do that. You see, it almost looks like, I mean, you would think that blue is good, right? Like that's what your eyes instantly go, okay, that's 72%, 40%. Okay, all right, so, no, look a little closer. Did you catch it yet? You see it? This is on their website now. It's not just Kareem throwing it out there. Yes, yeah. See, 72% means basic or above. Basic or above. That includes proficient and advanced. It does not mean 72% are proficient. The real percentage, let's see, at or above proficient would be proficient and advanced, right? So that would be 51%, 15%, 19%, 20%, 25%. Isn't that somehow they do that? It's almost like people don't really want to say it too loudly. This is Minnesota. This is fourth grade reading, the last NAEP that they took, 2022. All right. So look, I'm not here to make you feel bad. It is what it is. Believe me, listen, every state is wrestling with this, okay? It's not about where you're at, it's where you're going, okay? And I'm just here to share some things with you to make you, to prod your thinking a little bit. So I put this up here just like, part of it is the whole Stockdale paradox. You gotta be brutally honest to move forward. Stockdale was a general who survived one of the worst prisons of war camps in Vietnam. And it's like, you gotta tell the brutal truth so that people can deal with it and they're more likely to succeed and live and thrive. In 98, 36% proficient and advanced. 2019, that's before the pandemic now. There was one that's after the pandemic, it's a little bit lower. I know people get funky about the pandemic score, so 35%. So in other words, 36, 35. That's over 20 years. We haven't really moved too much. So, I mean, it just, data is what it is, right? Not much has changed. And so the question is, what are we gonna do? And I would submit to us that, just like California, should prompt us to really think about how we're approaching literacy. But I dug a little bit deeper on that NAEP stuff. Because I've been doing a little research on Minnesota. There was one college, I'm not gonna name them, one university. The faculty got together and wrote a letter about the science of reading and this and that. And one of the things was talking about how the scores on NAEP, basic is pretty good. Basically, basic is proficient. It's the synthesis of what they were saying. But I looked at the categories, the cut scores, the definitions, and it says basic denotes partial mastery of prerequisite knowledge and skill that are fundamental to perform. In other words, it's the basics. Basic means basic. It's the foundation. They didn't stutter. Basic means basic. And on top of that, when I looked a little further, and you'll see, you can go to don't now, please. I know some of y'all are gonna go now. Menly number 6, you'll see that they don't even define the lowest level. They define advanced, they define proficient, they define basic. You click on it, it goes to definition. But that last one, below basic, they don't even give you a definition for it. We so worried about, I'm so worried about equity and this and that and the other, fine. But man, what's going on back here? We got kids who just out the game, period. We're gonna push them to the standard or not. Everything I would submit ought to be on the table. All right, let's move, Kareem. All right, so I don't wanna bury the lead. I'm gonna go through these things, this time general, in the general sense, and then later on I'll be more specific. They'll send you this later, I'm assuming, right, Katie? So you don't have to, I appreciate you, but you ain't gotta write it all down. Unless you just want to, right? To each his own. But you can get it from the conference. There's some things that have to happen. I'm going to go through some of these. Some of them you look at it on your own, you'll click the links, you go to the sources, but there's some things. So if you look at the districts and the states around the country who have begun to move the needle for literacy, they've done some things. There's some things that each one is doing individually, that some are doing this and some not, but there are some common things that they're doing. I'm going to cover some of those now. One, I'm not going to go through them item by item, but in general. We have to be honest about our priority. Have we had that conversation? What's our North Star? What's the priority here? Real talk, what's the priority? I know what the website says, the mission statement, and fine. What are we after? What is our North Star? When everybody else is fussing, arguing, cutting up, carrying on, what are we looking at? Do we have a North Star? As a state, as a county, as a city, as a district, as a school, as a family, what is our North Star around literacy? And are we committed to it? Okay, now let's get into the quick. Communication. So most initiatives die because of poor communication. You need to be in folks' ear. If you're at the district level, even as a school principal, I was a school principal for a long time, nature abhors a vacuum. If you don't communicate well, then people start making stuff up. Why we're doing this, what we're doing it, you preempt it. Where is a TV show in your district that where teachers who have been successful shifting their practice come on and talk about the success? Where is the newsletter that goes out to families about the bilingual family that came in and now the child is doing this and that and the other? What about the teacher who struggled or principal who struggled, but now they're finally starting to pick up and they're seeing the test results? Who? No? So then guess what happens? There's a vacuum there. It's not working for me. It must not be working for, oh, no, guess what? It's working for Miss Jones. Didn't you see that thing last night? Well, I know her. If she can do it, I can do it. What did they do? That school down there, our kids can do that. Number 4, Lord have mercy. We picked this curriculum because everybody else is picking it. The district next door picked it, so it must be good. It's on the state website, it must be good. Everybody's doing it, it must be good. Right? It must have data, it must have evidence. I have sat down with publishers because they're not happy with me right now, because I'm all in their stuff. Kareem, well, I don't want to hear that, man. I read the report. And on page 7 of your report, it says you made your control groups like that. On page 62 of your report, it said that this doesn't work for novice teachers. You define novice teachers in 1 or 2 years. Man, half my district is novice teachers because we keep turning them over because your thing don't work in the first place. It doesn't fit, but you're still upselling people. Look, there is no replacement for diligence when you pick a curriculum. I saw the list, you talked about that list. I saw the top 5, the 62%, and what goes, man, okay. Where's the research that says that works? Have you read it? Don't assume, because they're assuming you won't read it. And usually they're right. They give you the brochure, they give, all of whatever, and they know you don't have time, you're busy, you're educators. The hustle is real, and it's lucrative. Let me go through this quick. EPPs, schools of education, line of the research consensus. Graduates having the actual skill and experience of teaching kids to read, that's a big one. Not the theory behind it or a 10-hour practice, but I'm talking about actual having the skill developed. I know how to teach a kid to read. Good, we'll take you, we'll hire you. You can teach a kid to read? Come on. The rest we'll work on. But you got that? Hey, come on. I gotta stay on schedule with this, but I can't pass up. I was at a university. Nah, forget it, I won't tell it. I won't tell it. You see the other things there. Number 10, 9 and 10, wellness. I know it's all about the kids, but it's not all about the kids. It's a school system. Adults, it's real. Life happens. You know the old saying, hurt people? Man, people's nerves are people going through it. Their families, lives. When I was a principal, I had one teacher, he was a Vietnam vet, and he's seen a few things in his life. His wife was dying of cancer, and loved him, great guy. He was going through real life, nobody's fault, it just is what it is. Okay, so now we got a tension because I need you to teach these kids. You got to come prepared. And I understand the humanity of the situation. That's educational leadership. That's the adaptive piece. It has to be. And we're talking about literacy. Man, they can't afford you to skip a step. I got to have it. So let's work something out. Let's talk about what we can do. Wellness matters. Anyone here from Minneapolis School District? I was looking through your teacher contract. I love this section on wellness. That's a model. I haven't seen much of that. So anyway, keep it moving. I hope y'all take advantage of it. People, sometimes things in the contract they don't even know about. We'll talk about the 5 pillars later. Well, you know the 5, so phonemic awareness, phonics, fluency, what am I missing? Vocabulary and comprehension, right? That's got to be in it. From the grad school, that's got to be part of it. But there's some other elements that we're going to talk about. I'll get to quickly. Last one, canaries in the coal mine. How do you know it's working? Whatever your program is, how do you know? You heard the phrase canaries in the coal mine, right? Some have, some haven't. For real, you have never heard that? Okay. No? You go down in the mine, you look to see the canaries are all right, they're all right, there's some oxygen down there. But they fall dead. Houston, we have a problem, right? Well, who are the canaries in your school system? Who are you looking to see if they're all right, then we know it's going to be all right? Our methods are right, our curriculum is right, our structures are right. Who are the canaries in the coal mine? Who are you looking? So you can talk about equity, but I'm saying I don't want to leave any behind. So who am I watching? If that kid is all right, if that group is all right, given the needs, given everything else that's going on, if they're okay, I know we're on the right track. Let's keep it moving. Come on, Kareem. Okay, now, here we are. We're designing you see that? Y'all didn't even catch that, did you? See how smooth they did it? If I hadn't pointed out, you would have known it. That's preparation, planning, and sequencing, and you knew. You was ready to hand it off, weren't you? I'm trying to tell you. When the collaboration is right, it's like that. There's a synergy that develops. Grade level teams are different. The ones that really get it and they work together well, they've done it over a while and they collaborate and they communicate, man, it's a beautiful thing. If you're a practitioner in any field, you get and respect that. All right. So, you're building the steps. You're the architect. What's your goal? How would you build the steps? You building your literacy program, right? How do you build it? Well, if I want to be featured in architecture today, I probably would go to the one on the left. The one in the middle is like nouveau. This is what we're doing today. In Paris, they're doing it like this. You skip a step. That's very chic. All right? Part of how would you build steps? The answer is, it depends on what your goal is. If your goal is to get the greatest number of people possible to the top of the steps, you're going to approach it differently. I don't care what the neighboring district says. We're trying to get them up, all of them. Now, somebody could tell you, well, look, everybody climbs at a different pace. There's no one way to climb steps, right? One is very boring. You see where I'm going with this, right? It's very boring. At our district, we have the latest techniques and methods in our university. We've done this, that, and the other. We've studied the latest methods, and okay. And there are, for people who can't climb steps, we have supports for that, tier 2, tier 3. We have other ways. We have an elevator over there, special ed. Hello, somebody. In that room down the hall. But the rest of us, you got to ask what the goal is. Honestly, what's the North Star? Put aside the political correctness. What are we trying to do here? Are we trying to get the greatest number of people to the top of the steps or not? And if it's something else, name it. Name it. Because there's going to be too much dissonance if you don't just be honest about that with your team. But if knowing your goal, then you can plan accordingly. What if I told you this? What if you knew this going in? It's kind of like what we talked about last night with that. What if you knew those statistics about the people who were climbing? Would it change? Would it impact how you built the steps? Would it? Forget that. They better learn to climb. If something must be wrong with them if they can't climb steps. Maybe they got bad parenting. Maybe they didn't teach them how to climb steps. Maybe they don't have steps at home. Maybe they're overweight. Maybe they're underweight. Maybe, whatever it is, but these steps are beautiful. And it worked for me. Hello, somebody. Now, when we talk about the ladder of reading, that's what we're talking about. That's the same breakdown. 5% of kids are going to get it regardless of what we do. Most of us in here, I'm not going to run the numbers. Every time I do it, it's pretty much the same thing. Most people in here, because we're survivors of the system, are in that first category. 5% of people are going to learn to read regardless of what you do that are in this room. Most of the people who are teachers and principals and all the rest. But by population, that's only 5%. And then 35%, they learn it in school some kind of way, But most children, most people need it a certain way. They need to be systematic, direct, and explicit. You can say science and reading if you want to, that's all we're talking about. Sequential, code-based, systematic, explicit instruction. Direct. That's it. It may not be popular. It may not be sexy for some people, especially those who don't like to cook with creativity. But man, that joker works for the greatest number of kids possible. And it doesn't disadvantage kids, it advantages all. Listen, Latin roots and Greek roots are good for everybody. Take an SAT and see. I can't tell you how many friends I have say, well, I was whole language, so I don't spell too good, but But I have an assistant who, so. Then you got that group on the bottom. Code-based, systematic, explicit, direct, and they're going to need some diagnostic support. Well, Kareem, what about, I got all my stuff, the racial sensitivity practices, all that. Let me tell you something. That's all fine and well. If you're not trying to get the greatest number of kids to the top of the steps, what are you doing? I mean, you can have whatever belief you want. I don't care. Whatever you do your thing. As long as you are getting the greatest number of people where they got to go. If that's not the gold standard, what are you doing? And if you're saying, I don't do it because I believe in this, or I don't believe in that, well, okay, I got questions. Now I'm going to put on my NAACP hat. That's a civil rights issue. That's a civil rights issue. These babies have a right to an education. People have fought, bled, and died for them to have the chance to go to school. And we playing God sometimes because of what's comfortable and what's familiar and what the ennui is. Listen, I've studied American history. We allow horrific things to happen because the community is doing it. I won't get into the details of that, but that's a whole other conversation. All right, let's keep it moving. So this is a quick video. That's one of my two daughters. She found out she was dyslexic. We found out she was dyslexic when she was going to be a junior in high school. And she tells a little bit about her story.
This is my little beautiful black girl. And she just found out that she had dyslexia a little while ago. Let me ask you a couple of questions. Is that all right? Yeah. Before you found out, what were you thinking was going on?
I just thought I was a little slow and kind of stupid, and I got frustrated with myself. And then it was frustrating because people thought that I wasn't trying, which made me kind of like depressed. So the whole experience, like school just sucked. I hated it. I didn't want to go. It was miserable.
When you found out that that's what was going on, what was your reaction?
I was happy. I was kind of hoping the whole time that something would pop up, because then it would mean if something didn't pop up, I was scared that people I'd just be like, oh, I'm just not trying hard enough. Because I mean, like, that's just a me problem. When I saw something pop up, I'm like, oh, there's hope for me.
Mm.
Yay. I was excited.
You was excited.
Yeah.
I love you, baby.
Me too.
I'm proud of you. People talk about trauma. You know, we're going to have social emotional learning and trauma. We traumatize our kids every day when they don't get what they need in school. And they don't know. They don't know. You can't read, your reading is low, everybody's going ahead of you and this and that, and got your hood on in the back of the class. Our kids are not crazy. That's the first thing I want y'all to take away from this tonight. Your babies are all right. They just need what they need, and they deserve that.
That is not easy for me to show. That is humiliating. I'm not proud of waiting until my daughter was a rising junior in high school to find out she was dyslexic. The hell she had to go through. Because I was too busy teaching, leading, and working to tend to my own house. I taught her how to read, so I thought everything was good. No. They need ongoing stewardship. Listen, this is me talking. So I'm not big timing you. I'm saying, look, it happened to me. She has 2 parents who were educators. I was a teacher of the year, principal of the year. Man. And she was eating lunch in the bathroom by herself because it was hell let loose in school. And I taught her how to read. But the methods that were being employed, the 3Qing and the balanced literacy and this and that, it was unraveling the entire schema. She actually went backwards with literacy. Then they want to have an equity rally, a diversity club. Help us, Lord. Okay, let's go. So, this 5 by 5 by 5. This isn't mine. This comes from the American Federation of Teachers. AFT, been saying this for almost 3 decades. Their president got on stage the other day, Randy Wine got on stage and said, listen, the science reading and this and that, we've been doing this, They've been at the front, but nobody's listening. They're too busy fussing and fighting. Oh, well, you're this and you're pro this, you're that. Man, are you hearing what they're saying about reading? Go check out on the website, tiny URL. You'll go to the website. You see for yourself. Not right now. I mean, if you want to go right now, you can. But like this is not yet, someone said it's rocket science, okay, fine. But they've been saying it. We, the adults, especially the ones where reading comes kind of, like, there's Kardashians to watch. There's football to watch. There's basketball to watch. Huh? There's things we got to do. It's almost like we're so busy. Hello, somebody. So they go through those things. They say these are the elements. If you want an effective reading program, go through this checklist. Straight up. It's the same thing. Science reading advocates say, John Hattie in his research, AFT, same thing. It's nothing new under the sun. The question is, we do one of the 2 things, it doesn't work, and we say, oh, the pendulum swing. The pendulum never swung. You wasn't doing all 5 in the beginning. The second 5 are these 5 pillars. The phonics and the phonemic awareness, and this is what the National Reading Report said. This is what the research says. Like this is standard fare. But they got to have this in spades. Well, that's not enough. Okay, fine, but they got to have this. They got to have this. All the research we said they got to have this. Again, you'll get the thing. Okay, sis, you'll get the slides. The third 5. And we forget about these 5, especially that oral language development. Some of your second language learners, or your kids who look like me who speak a different home language, it's English, but it's like a variant or a dialect of English. You got to have oral language development. Eating can mean different things depending on the context. Anyway, it has to build knowledge. The writing is important. And then there's these 2 down here I'm going to get into a little bit right now with the little time I have left. Change management and leadership. If you're in a leadership position, raise your hand. Well, that's why I guess that's why I'm here. Okay, I hear you. I guess I'm talking to you now. Okay, hi. So when I taught leadership development with new leaders, I was in charge of the Western region. I mean, from probably Colorado to Hawaii. That was my gig. And I'd find people, recruit people, and train them and develop them so that they would be prepared to lead schools and systems, et cetera, or grade levels, right? The checklist was the easy part. Bureaucrats love school systems. So do publishing companies. Oh, you're all about second language learners? Oh, we got that book in there too. You're all about dyslexia? Okay, we got one in there too. We have 10 books in the kit, and by the way, we're gonna upsell you for all 10. But everybody gets what they need. Check the box, got it. Knowing good and well a teacher can't use more than 1 or 2 manuals. If they're really gonna use it, come on, stop playing. The kid got soccer practice. You wanna go through manual 6? That should all be integrated and synthesized into 1 manual, maybe 2 at the most. After that, it's just performative. Change management. So yes, there's a checklist. Yes, the copy's gotta work. The materials gotta be on time. All the technical things that have to be right, gotta be made right. Yes, and that's not enough. Then there's the change management. You probably could teach a master class on this, right? The change management. How do you get people to do things they don't have to do? If you really want to get down to it, I know we often think leader means that you got a sign on your door that say leader. That don't mean nothing. To some people who are scared, that might mean something. But most people, okay. Just like the last person who had a sign over their door. Sure. But who are you and what are you to me in the context of this work we're doing? And how can you help us get to the goal we're trying to get to? So change management, let me go there right quick with you. So you'll get this later, but just take a look. Just take a look. So some of these things like the resources, that's a technical thing. Either you have the resource, if I go in at 7:30, if I go in at 7:15, I'm rushing, here I am, I go to make my copier, we don't have no toner, man, it's a problem. I don't care what you're talking about. I don't care. I got 35 kids, and I got 10 books. That's a problem. Like there's some stuff you just gotta handle as a leader, right? Technical stuff, the resources. But then it's these other things that produce these fruits. How are we doing with that? As a leader at the school site or system, this is your business. And there's no checklist for most of these things. I'm not talking about the mission statement on the website. Everybody's got one. Do the people know what you're trying to do? What is the North Star in your building? And I'm not talking about the quality of buzzwords you can produce on command. North Star means our curriculum, our schedule, our budget, and our actions gonna line up with it. That's the real North Star. Show me your curriculum, budget, schedule. I'll tell you what your priorities are. Don't tell me what your mission statement is. You tell me those 3 things. I'll tell you what you're doing and what you're not doing. So I went to a school, okay, really quickly. I want to make sure I get this video in. So really quickly, I went to school and it was the lowest in the district. We turned it around. It was pretty good. It was solid. It was rolling. They were like, how'd you do it? Because we handled these things. We didn't skip stuff. We did these things. Okay. Usability. Now, I only put that up there. I know this publisher. I'm starting to work with this publisher because at least they're trying. They're trying. And I was like, this is too much. That's too much. 10 books? Come on. Stop playing. You laugh. Man, this is real. They got a kit. The kit comes in big boxes. They dump them in the lounge. Come down and get your kit. Everybody go and get the kit and the manual. And they go find a teacher's manual and say, okay, I'm going to use this. Am I lying? That's what it is. With all the workbooks and all the collateral that comes with it. Now, the kids who are furthest from promise, you know, the kids who the equity stuff is supposed to be about, how many books you think they need? Talk to me now. How many? Huh? They need all 10. So if you put what they need in book 10, they're not getting it because the teacher is tapping out on book 2. And that's working all night as is. All night, stressed. Maybe she get to book 3 if she's a 15-year vet and did it last year. So there has to be at the state level and at the district level, and even for those principals who are courageous at the site level, there have to be a real effort to vet these things. Usability matters. Now, here's one. Y'all seen this before? So this is a particular group. They were in a Facebook group. And you know, you had a closed group and people can comment. Well, a moderator from this company came on, and I guess the dyslexia moms were, you know, the dyslexia moms don't play. The dyslexia moms, they don't joke. And they were on her head real tough. And finally she snapped and said, listen, that's the last time I'm gonna warn you. You cool it or you get out the group, basically. I mean, you see it right there. And then she said, you see it right there. Look at that. Look at that. She gave up the game right there. Everything is cool. It's just the 20% that you're talking about. You know, you're going to turn the whole thing upside down for them 20%? This is sad. That's the mindset. You buy it if you want to. They're telling you what it is. And most people are like, hey, okay, well, you know, yeah, you're right. And what are you going to do? You win some, you lose some. The makers are telling you this. Well, maybe they're in book 8, you know. You're going to turn the whole thing upside down for 20%. And then your black kids, that's another 15%. And the second language English, and that's 30%. Well, who are we making this thing for then? Okay. Well, Kareem, but is it possible? Yeah, it's possible. I've seen it. I've seen it, I've done it. I've worked with school systems that have done it, states that are doing it. I say doing it, not done it, because they would not say we're there yet. They would say we're on the way. So here's one. I'm just going to highlight this one. Seaford. That second paragraph, one of the highest, this was in an article they wrote up, one of the highest achievement districts in the state. They were one of the lowest. Now they're one of the highest. While people are arguing about balanced literacy and structured literacy and this and that, they said, listen, we're just going to do it. We're going to take the leap. We're going to take the professional development. We're going to do the things on that chart, and we're going to do it. Every subgroup, all kids. Yes, the ones getting special ed. Yes, your second language learners. Yes, your black kids. Now, for them, the second language learners, most of them come from Haiti and the Dominican Republic and Seaford. But still, second language learners. So that means French and Spanish. But everybody's moving. Remember, excellence, everybody's moving. And you know what they say to the people talking about equity and this? They don't. They doing what they're doing. They're trying to get kids to the top of the steps. They don't have time for that. I mean, they could talk about equity in the context of excellence, yes, but not apart from it. They have to go together. It's doable. It's possible. It's being done around the country. Why do you talk about Delaware? Why do you talk about Goose Creek in West Virginia and foothills of Appalachia? Because I know the economic, every group has their hood, so to speak, okay? So when we start talking about Appalachia, that means something, especially to my white brothers and sisters. Like, oh, Appalachia, oh, okay, if I start talking about the Mississippi Delta, the black folks, that means something. Maybe white folks too. But, we all have our stuff. All kids. By the way, they've got a podcast. They got about 7 seasons right now. That's just one story. They got a whole, they tell you all how they did it. What happened, who did what the mistakes were, and they love to tell a story. Okay, really quickly. So those are my 2 girls. I'm not gonna get to that last video. I'm gonna take my time on this. So the one on the right, you saw the video before. That's Margot Maleka. And Zena's on the left. Now, Zena, man, my oldest daughter paid a horrific price. Hey, teacher of the year, principal of the year, she paid a horrific price. Parents split. Man, she bore the brunt. She paid for those lessons. She's a daddy's girl who wasn't raised with her daddy. It's tough. So I said to myself, I'm never going to let this happen again. I understand my purpose. I understand my calling professionally, but I'm not going to let that happen. I remarried, but I'm not going. I got kids, more kids now. I'm not. So when I was a teacher, now I'm going to become a principal. I have to put some guardrails. I have to put some structures in place to protect my family from my own duties that are in my profession. And as a principal, I taught this to my staff. That's why we were so close. It's my job. I want you to give all you can, and I'm watching you as the manager, the promoter, the corner person. I'll throw in the towel. I will come fight for you. I'm not going to let you get knocked out. We're going to live to fight another day. There's a level of care that has to happen from principal to teacher. So I decided I'm going to learn this lesson that was paid for by my oldest daughter and my wife, ex-wife. So I said, you know what? What structures can I put in place? The family version of structured literacy. You know what? I will stay in the building all night long doing work. Some of y'all know, all night, just being there working. And I know it's going to take that sometimes if I'm working in this school. But every 18th, her birthday is November 18th. Every 18th, I don't care what it is. On the 18th, man, I'm going home. Like bell ring, I put in that little hour after time contract, and I'm out because it's daddy-daughter day. It's a structure. So she knows that, so she can count on me. It's the 18th. Whether we watch a movie, go out to eat, whether we sit on the couch and laugh, or take a walk, or do nothing at all, it's daddy-daughter day. Some other things. I'm a coach. I'm gonna coach her softball. Let's get her in some sports. I'll be the coach. Because when you're the coach, you got to get out there. You got to be there. You can't not show up. All them little kids running around the park. You got to be there. I forced myself to do things. I put a structure in place. Some of y'all haven't caught it yet, but I'm coming to it. Now, "14 years later, 18 years old, she's been all-state softball twice in a row. She's going to Bowie State University, hit a home run. My baby can swing it. She is a monstrous with that bat. Can throw you out from center field, left field, whoever field. She ain't no joke. At the time, I was it's amazing what young people do when we invest in them. And we put structures in place that allow them to grow. That's not why I was doing it, though. But here's the thing. The reason why structured literacy is so important, we have to be intentional for our students and for our educators. We have to put up guardrails so they can invest fully in the process without unraveling. They're human beings. If we don't recognize that as site leaders or as system leaders, I have questions for you and your calling and your duty, right? You have to care for people. So I was fortunate, and she was fortunate. I didn't know she was going to be that good. How much talent are we leaving on the table because we're approaching literacy in an unstructured way? How many kids would be all-state or a doctor or a lawyer, or this? The cure for cancer is probably some kid who could have benefited from structured literacy, but we were doing it happenstance. We were too busy queuing and this and that and the other. Hey, at some point, based on the experiences of those who've gone before us, we have to learn the lessons. If not, we're the fools to keep doing the same thing again and again and again. Now, I'm gonna finish with this. This isn't mine. I got this from some Minnesota folks. There was a brief. They wrote this brief about, we're not into all the science and reading stuff. I know not everybody here is on that train, but listen, I looked at it and I said, okay, let me just, sunlight is the best. Well, let me just say it. They had some questions about some of these things. Are y'all just trying to get kids to be compliant and all this type of stuff? And then the next one, this is propaganda, and this is just divisive, and this is fear-mongering and all this type of stuff? Listen, let me just say this. If the standard, if the North Star is students learning, if the North Star is them reading, then all the rest of that stuff got to go to the left. What's getting the most kids to the top of the steps? Consistently, predictably, in a way that regular people can do. And then they criticize the simple view of reading. It's like, oh, that's just sounding out words. Yeah, okay, that's part of it, sound out words. Yeah, come on, man, sound out the words, yes. That is a skill, a foundational skill. We gotta be able to do that, come on now. But it's also language comprehension. And a lot goes into that. That was a distortion. I don't know, there probably some folks in here, I'm just gonna tell you that's not right. Because now you put it out there and there's people who don't go deeper into what you're saying, and you put that out there and it's like, oh, see, that's not the social justice thing. Wrong. Like Maya Angelou said, it's just as serious as it is. You don't play with things like that. I don't have time for this one. You already know, huh? Well, here's the thing. How much time? I got 3 minutes. Well, so I'll skip the content of that and get to the chase. So yeah, you know, man, Mars, from Venus. We communicate differently. So here's the thing. So there's some people who have different beliefs about communication. Should it be direct or indirect, right? There's just different beliefs about it. The passive voice is more respectful and decent and, you know, just nice. It's nicer. Would you like to sit down? I'm asking you, as opposed to saying sit down, right? It's direct. It's somewhat of a cultural difference too, right? It's rude and brutish to just be direct like that. Some people would say this. Right? But when asked, had about 200 people in each of these categories. People in one culture were like, yeah, well, that's a respectful thing to do. It's honorable, it's decent to use a passive voice. That's honoring the kids. That is embracing them. That's the equitable move. There's some who are saying, yeah, okay, well, it confuses them sometimes. But in others, in a couple of other cultures, I won't name the cultures because I don't want to get caught up on that. People in other cultures say, well, that's manipulation. Just say what you want. Ask me if I want to sit down. If you want to sit down, tell me to sit down. Like it's a cultural thing. I'm not saying which one is right or wrong. I'm just saying there's actual differences in how people perceive communication. And the person who's being with a passive voice, they are not trying to do that, usually. Well, usually. But that's how it's being received by many of the young people or many of the kids. There's got to be a bridge between the two. Structured literacy is that bridge. We're going to do this in a structured way. So we're not going to get lost in translation here. Does that make sense? Sorry, I got to run through this. I won't go through all that. You don't need to see that. Research agrees with me. This comes from John Hattie's meta-analysis, talking about over 300 million students used in the research consensus, and they give an effect size for the different aspects of education, and direct instruction is good. Bottom line, direct instruction is good. Does that make sense? All right. It doesn't mean that you can't be nice, but we got to teach it directly, explicitly, systematically. All right, I'm going to leave on this one. I won't play the video at the end, but it was the same thing as before, but now I just put a little bit more specifics to it. What does that really mean? You know, that's what they really mean. I'm going to just let that marinate for a minute. If you had to score your school, your system, your district, your college, or whatever, of the 15 or the 13, which ones are you? How are you? Just take a look. That number 5, prep time, is real. That box of stuff I showed you, that curriculum, It's okay if you got the time to get ready for it, right? If you get an hour and a half of prep a day, it's cool, or more. But you can't have 275 minutes a week or 50 minutes a day, have 10 books to go through, have the kids furthest from promise need all the books, and then have a mission statement talking about equity. Come on now. All right, I won't play this one. It's her. I found this on the plane, but I'll leave it in the PowerPoint so you can click it later. I was flying here, not me personally, but I'm under my seat. I'm coming here, and I was going through my hard drive, because you know you can do the internet on the plane now, and her senior project was in there. I guess she used my computer to upload or whatever, and I had never seen it before. And she talked about her journey to her professors, her teachers at her high school, broke it all the way down. I was in tears. I was a hot mess. Listen, I appreciate your attention, your time. I hope something of this is useful. The bottom line is excellence has to be the standard. I respect that equity moves. We need that. But if it's divorced from from excellence, it's not going to get our kids what they need. Our children can be better than just good enough. They can be excellent. And that has to be the standard if we're going to get everybody on board. Thank you.